which took place this past week. They didn't have Collision because you had this whole March Madness thing that's taking place. So they're like, you know what? Let's not fuck with that. We're going to avoid doing Collision. So they had a back-to-back showing of Dynamite and Rampage. Did you guys get a chance to watch Dynamite and Rampage this past weekend?
Yeah, I watched it the next day.
You watched it on Wednesday? Yeah. I caught the clips. I caught the clips after. What did you guys think? Just the overall impressions of this past Rampage. Now that we're 2 weeks in, I think, into the Ospreay, Mercedes kind of era where you have all these big stars showing up. How do you feel overall impressions from Rampage and Collision and Dynamite?
I would say like I've said this before, but my biggest impression is the way they're just kind of presenting stuff now. There's a lot of like segment stuff. There's a lot of pre-recorded promos and things like that. So you could tell they're kind of really trying to make the effort of like creating storyline, because that was like the big complaint. That's very, very apparent now. So I would say that's my biggest takeaway, and it's a positive thing, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
What's going on? I'm pretty excited to see the build up towards the rest of the dynasty, especially now that Okada has a belt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And so does Adam Copeland.
Yeah, I mean, and they also had a lot of good matches, I've got to say. We can go over the Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage match for the TNT Championship. That thing was a banger, I got to say. The intro that Edge had coming out to his theme song, it was in Canada, and they started singing his song when he was in the ring, and it died down a bit. That was awesome to see. But the actual match itself was really good. I thought, I mean, honestly, I forgot who said this, because I was listening to a lot of people recapping Dynamite and Rampage, but they said it felt like, you know, Adam Copeland and Jay, I forgot his last name, but Christian Cage, it felt like their 10-year-old version of what they would want to do if they were main eventing a wrestling show in Canada, in terms of like the spots and the kinds of things they were able to do. Like they went pretty balls to the wall with this match. Any overall impressions or thoughts about this particular match? How do you guys feel about Adam Copeland winning back the championship after having it for like 5 minutes originally?
It's good for him. I really liked the Cope Open the first time around, and also when he worked with some of the younger guys in WWE right before he left. So I think he's doing a really good job of working with younger talent.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him just kind of like elevating some of the younger guys and just kind of seeing where that goes. I'm guessing it's not the end of the Christian Adam Copeland thing, but I'm just glad to see, you know, him having a belt on him. I think that's just a cool visual. So
well, I was gonna say you mentioned like it's going to, you know, potentially involve younger talent that he can work with. Do you feel like what are the immediate next steps? Where do you see this going after this match? Do you feel like they're going to perhaps end this rivalry at Dynasty? Do you feel like it'll stretch out for a couple of more months?
I mean, I feel
with this rivalry,
probably till All In, to be honest, because like it's just too big of a feud between Adam Copeland and Christian, and just kind of like, all right, well, that's done. Because I mean, like, who knows where Christian kind of goes with this whole thing? Because I mean, his whole gimmick of the patriarchy and stuff was based around this belt. So I mean, they need to really just find a way to conclude it in like a seamless way, because I mean, just having him what does he do at this point is right. I guess the question.
I agree. And that Dynamite, I'm sorry, Andres.
Oh, there's the funny thing I saw where was it like Edge like threw a jersey at Christian, and they didn't cut the camera away in time. You see Christian actually like putting on the jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he put the Maple Leafs on, and I forgot which one he had, but yeah, that was a funny thing too. I was like, oh, like you said, it was kind of like their version of doing it if they were main eventing something. So totally see that.
It was a really fun match. And there was the Toni Storm, Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo. It feels like, I feel like Thunder Rosa's going to start getting her momentum back after that match because Toni Storm, lost, which was good. And there seemed to have been some beef with Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa. So I'm not sure if this will be Tony Khan's way of perhaps inserting both of them into the title picture, and maybe it's like going to be a triple threat because Thunder Rosa or Deonna Purrazzo was upset with Thunder Rosa with that pin. Did you guys? How do you guys feel about this beef that they're building, and do you feel like that's where the women's title is going in terms of the next feud for Toni Storm?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something between Thunder Rosa and Deonna for, I'm guessing, till Dynasty, and then, or maybe it is going to be a triple threat. Like I could see that happening because they have to have some kind of a women's title match, I'm guessing. So I could see it being like a triple threat of some kind, maybe a fatal 4-way. Somebody else gets interjected. So yeah, for sure. I mean, they have to still build the card. I don't think there's a match yet for the women's title, so it's probably going to be some kind of a triple threat match, is what it seems like, or a fatal 4-way.
That's fair.
I could definitely think so, yeah.
Awesome. So you had the Toni Storm Mariah May match. Do you feel like Toni Storm is going to lose the title anytime soon? Let's frame it that way. Do you feel like? Yeah.
Not till All In. I'm guessing like All In or All Out is when she would drop the belt, if she was going to drop it. But maybe not. Maybe she's like going to reign. Maybe she'll be Roman Reigns or whatever.
Hold it for like 4 years.
Yeah. No, I can see her holding on to it a little longer too, to like a bigger show and then dropping it to have a bigger build up. Like you said, it can be with Thunder Rosa, it can be someone else, but I think they got a good thing with her being champion for now. I think it's going okay.
Now with the women's wrestling, we can roll on to the Mercedes Moné promo. I think you, David and Chris, you got a chance to see it because you watched Dynamite. What any initial thoughts about her promo? Do you feel like that immediate follow up with Willow? That feels like that's where that's headed. The feud is going to be between Willow and Mercedes, right? Or do you feel like it's more of some kind of red herring or teaser? Because I feel like it can't be any more obvious than you had I believe it was Julia Hart and Sky Blue, right? Or am I hallucinating that came in? So you had Willow Nightingale holding a chair, about to hit her in the back, and then she was still holding onto the chair as Mercedes turned around. And I'm assuming they did that on purpose. I didn't think it was initially. I thought maybe it was a timing issue, but I guess they wanted her to see that. Oh, I still have some beef from you. From New Japan. Where do you feel like this feud is going with Mercedes? And what did you think of the promo? Did you like it? Did you think it was pretty meh?
I mean, it was a fumble. I mean, she forgot she tried to save it, but she was like talking about TBS champion. Who was she talking to? But she didn't realize that it was Julia Hart. She mentioned somebody else. Oh, Sky Blue. She was like saying something about it. She caught herself, and then she meant like the TBS champion, Julia Hart or whatever. So I mean, there were a couple fumbles there, but I mean, but people will take that and they're gonna run with that. I'm sure people have. I haven't read on Twitter or anything. They're like, oh, was it worth having this person for this kind of money if she can't even cut a promo or whatever? Drag her ass or whatever. But I could see.
Probably just nervous.
Yeah, but I mean, still, if you're gonna be the CEO, that's not a good look. But whatever. All right, I like her. I could see the Willow versus her doing it like for the belt or whatever for the TBS belt. But I don't know. Guess we'll see.
They'll just have a match and get it get it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As like an introductory match.
yeah, because there wasn't really a build to her New Japan match with Willow, and just from that, it's like if they keep building on it, it's like then they're gonna have to stick to it and do something. But they just have a one-off. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be an extension of that because they're like, well, this existing rivalry is there, and it wasn't entirely finished, and that was partially because of the injury. And now that we have them both in AEW, we can finish this rivalry and kind of use it as an introduction to Mercedes, and also have her, do her in-ring debut and show off what she can do after her injury and what it looks like in AEW with Willow. So I think it's going to be I think there's going to be a feud with them for a brief second, and perhaps she'll be in a feud with Julia Hart afterwards, and there's going to be this intermingling with them, and she won't be going up against Toni Storm until, I'm going to say, all in, honestly. But yeah, I definitely thought the Mercedes promo, I mean, it feels like a WWE promo, and that, I mean, is partially due to the fact that Mercedes was born and raised, I don't know what other term you want to use, but, as an NXT star, and most of her career was in WWE. They have a writer who was recently hired who worked for WWE, and she is now in AEW. We had this story a couple of weeks back on our previous podcast episode. So I didn't mind it. I felt like it was kind of retreading what she previously said. So this was just kind of an extension of what she's already talked about, and I didn't get anything new from it. But she's only 2-3 weeks in, so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it makes any sense to, crap on it or start complaining about it when I do agree, you got to let them cook for a little bit. Now the Will Ospreay promo, that I feel like, again, like Will Ospreay, I just like, he's sometimes goofy, but he does a really good, passionate promo. Like, he does hype you up and make you want to run through a wall based on just how he delivers his lines and how he speaks. What did you guys feel of, Will Ospreay's continuing promo work in AEW?
Rough. I mean, that
in one word, yeah.
The whole filling the shoe analogy was great. I mean, it was just good. I would say it was a very effective promo from Will Ospreay. Just kind of continue to show, his skills, and just continue to prove that he was a good acquirement, for WWE. And he's a younger guy. He had his little tourney or whatever in New Japan and did great things there. But like he was definitely a good acquirement for AEW, I would say.
Absolutely. His overall ring work too, and his mic, that all works well together, So he's like a good overall great package, and a good wrestler and a good talker. So it's awesome that he's there and something. I like the promo he cut too. So
yeah, I like him as like that scrappy loudmouth, worked his way up type dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's got a kind of aura of happy to be here, but it's not like a Rocky Maivia smiling, I got my girl's bicycle arm wraps on, I'm just kind of hitting the crowd. It's a happy to be here, but he also pairs it with that kind of scrappy underdog. He just got out of the bar and he could beat the shit out of you kind of attitude, and his in-ring work, I mean, speaks for itself.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Really, really good stuff from Will Ospreay, and I'm looking forward to that match at Dynasty. Man, there's so much wrestling in April. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, right.
In terms of like just pay-per-views and events that we're attending, we have that New Japan show.
I forgot about that shit.
So we'll go through the rest of the card, and then we'll jump into the next topic. So we had Hook versus Jericho. And that was also a really good match. And Chris Jericho did a really good job putting over Hook. And I mean, a person in that stature, I mean, that's what you should be doing when it comes to your position within AEW, is putting over younger talent like Hook. And they delivered a wonderful match. And Chris Jericho's speech about Hook, I thought, was really beneficial for him. I felt like it elevated him more. We had Eddie Kingston versus Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Continental Championship. And I don't know where I'd put this if I was comparing it to WWE, but I'm going to assume it's kind of like an Intercontinental Championship. And Kazuchika Okada wins. He wins his first title 2 or 3 weeks in.
Good.
What do you think? You said it was good. Elaborate on that. Why is it good?
I mean, I think just because like you make a big deal about his name, and he is a big deal, and he was such a huge guy in New Japan, like the John Cena of New Japan, or whatever you want to say, or Ric Flair of New Japan. You might as well give him gold right away. I think it makes complete sense. Give him some momentum, so he's got something to kind of keep going off of, versus just kind of like, oh, he's the Young Bucks lackey or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely good that he took the belt. And also, I mean, Eddie Kingston's great. I like Eddie Kingston, but there's also a lot of hate for Eddie Kingston. So I don't know. I feel like it was a good transition to give Okada the belt for his debut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, the Continental Championship was created, and Eddie Kingston is the inaugural champion. Is that right? Do I have that right? So, I mean, yeah, I feel like this. I personally don't feel like they needed another championship for AEW. I'm glad that Okada has this title. But again, it's just my complaining about, having new belts when I feel like it kind of diminishes the prestige of them. But maybe you think differently. What were you gonna say?
I mean, the main issue is just getting the Ring of Honor stuff like off of Dynamite. Like, that's the main thing they need to do. Like, you'll still have these guys kind of pop in and out with these belts on them. So just the visual of all these belts being on TV diminishes. But I also say, just because of the caliber of Okada, I think he can bring a lot to the prestige of the belt too. Because Eddie Kingston, yeah, sure, he can be a fan favorite to a certain sect of fans, but there's not necessarily any prestige added to the belt. You know what I mean? Because he's still kind of that guy that's trying to prove himself with as far as his legacy goes. But Okada is a proven legacy, so he definitely adds way more to just at least the belt itself. So I would say it was a really good move to take it off of Kingston and have him rehab himself as far as his character goes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys say it brings more prestige to the belt too, having someone of that caliber holding it? Kind of like how, like, when you would watch like the old WWF days when like Shawn and Bret Hart were going at it, you had The Rock and Stone Cold going after the Intercontinental title. Would you say it's kind of like that caliber, or you have
For sure.
legendary wrestler like that? Okay, cool.
For sure.
And
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking that too.
then the Continental title, I guess it's going to keep staying under Continental Classic rules, so it's supposed to be like really clean matches, so I think it'll fit Okada well.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, to your point, Andres, I think what my opinion is, because you're comparing it to that WWF title, it's because you have the AEW World title, then you have a TNT Championship, you have a Continental Championship, and an International Championship. So you have these 3 additional singles titles. So for me, in my monkey brain, there is this prestige in things like you add the concept of power is determined by us as a species, as a society, and we determine what his prestige is and what isn't. But I feel like if you have a big title and then a mid-card title, and then you have, tag titles, which are their own thing, but in a certain sense, a lot of people view tag titles as kind of like third tier. I feel like if you have a big title, a mid title, another upper mid title, I guess. Like for me, I'm like, well, now I'm confused about who's better because you have a Continental, Intercontinental, TNT. You know what I mean? So I feel like it just kind of diminishes the prestige or the stature of that person holding the belt when I don't know if you're better than this guy or this guy because you got a belt, you got a belt, you got a belt, and the rules towards them. And I mean, I guess David, you mentioned that these are going to be under specific rules, but
just the Continental.
Yeah, well, with the Continental at least, but. From what I've seen so far with AEW, at least I feel like those rules aren't even going to last that long, purely based on even like the rankings that were introduced in January. I feel like he already tossed those out silently in the past month and a half because we have people vying for titles, and I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with the rankings that existed. So that's kind of my little rant that I keep bringing up, but. We'll keep going down through. We have the Butcher versus Swerve Strickland. That was kind of, I think, a match for Swerve Strickland to reestablish himself again and kind of keep building towards another opportunity for the AEW World Championship. Do you guys have any thoughts about that specific match, or where do you see Swerve Strickland going from here after that match with the
just
Butcher?
A quick, easy win
Quick, easy.
Just to push him up the non-existent rankings.
Yes.
It was good to see Butcher on TV again.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I haven't watched it too closely, but it seems like he wasn't on TV for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely been a minute.
Was the Blade in the ring too?
No,
I don't remember seeing the Blade. It was just the Butcher.
It was just their intro that had both their names flash. No Bunny though.
We had a bunch of other. I'm going to be using these interchangeably between Dynamite and Rampage because that's how I listed them. But we had Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta versus the Don Callis family, and specifically Powerhouse Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher. Also a good match. This is for the tournament for the currently vacated AEW Tag Team titles. Who do you think is going to win the tag team titles at the end of this entire tournament? Do you guys have any favorites? Because we saw that Cassidy and Trent Beretta won, beat the Don Callis family. They move on. Do you guys have any predictions for who actually captures these belts?
Young Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to get it.
Yeah, just so they're
just going to go back to them,
showered in gold.
I mean, I feel like they need it, especially they do and they don't. I feel like it'll be a nice underline on what they're currently doing with their current version of the Elite, because you have Okada, who debuted and within 3 weeks wins a title, and then you're going to have the Young Bucks, who I also agree, should win the tag team titles and treat them as the top, threat or people on top of AEW. I think that's the smartest thing for AEW to do with the tag titles. We also had Katsuyori Shibata come back, and he squashed some guy. I forgot the name of him, but
that's how quick it happened.
Yeah, it was a squash match. Good to see him back. I'm not where is he going in this? So he's facing Ospreay next, or this upcoming episode of Dynamite, I believe.
Yep.
That should be a good match. As of this recording, we haven't watched it yet because Dynamite hasn't happened, but that should be a good match. Do you feel like he's going to? I mean, I don't know where he's going to be put in AEW because he's been gone for a while, right?
Shibata.
So, yeah.
I mean, he's essentially just a plot device between Ospreay and Bryan at this point, because Ospreay cut that promo about Shibata or whatever, and Bryan Danielson in the mix. So I'm guessing this match is just a showcase of Ospreay and Shibata specifically. So you build up the hype for the Bryan Danielson match on Dynasty or in Dynasty. That's all I see. That's all I see. Shibata. I mean, they might do some other weird swervy shit, but at this point, as it stands, I think he's just more or less like a plot device.
Yep. And we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Rocky Romero. I don't really know much about Rocky Romero. Do you guys have any kind of additional opinion about Rocky Romero? Because he did put on, I gotta say, objectively a really good match from the one match that I've seen him in. Maybe I've seen another one, but I just don't remember him.
I'm in a few match. Yeah. I just saw clips. It looked like a good match, but honestly, outside of that, I didn't really know too much, unfortunately.
Yeah. Good match, though.
Everywhere. Like, he wrestled in New Japan a lot.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like the liaison between New Japan and AEW. And also, like, he does a lot of work in CMLL.
Okay.
Internationally, he's a big deal. So it's just like, it's about really seeing him do his thing here. But a lot of times when he's here, he's really just like putting somebody over or just having like a great loss.
And he did just that.
Yeah.
We also, last thing I want to mention is the main event of Rampage, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue. That was also crazy and bananas, that match. The thumbtacks, the tables, the chairs, the announce table. I mean, yeah, the thumbtacks in the mouth, that was also kind of fucked up.
Yep.
It's like I didn't really see like if she spit them out. When she spit them out, she probably didn't swallow it.
Hell no.
It's like yum yum yum. But that was a crazy match. Also, really good match. Do you guys have any thoughts about that specific?
Willow,
match?
get the table. Yeah, no,
it show's nuts.
It was good.
It was good. It definitely was main event, material for sure for a match. I mean, they were, doing some crazy stuff. I mean, it gave me really like Daphne vibes. Remember Daphne?
Mm-hmm.
She was like one of like the first, well, not the first, I don't think, but like one of the first like female wrestlers that would get put through like tables and mess with thumbtacks and fire and stuff way back in the day.
Yeah,
So it was cool to see like, a big main event like this, and especially AEW like doing it, because I know AEW's been doing this already, but I don't recall like Sky Blue ever doing that yet. At least maybe I missed the match before her being like that too with the rest of them, but it was cool to see.
She probably did that shit in GCW.
Probably,
and all that. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to see the dichotomy between like Willow Nightingale's persona, like her theme song is like, yeah, and then you're like fucking thumbtacks, power bombing people through tables and shit. Like I kind of enjoy that.
I'm surprised they didn't do that when Makioto was still there, because she does a lot of like death matches too and stuff like that. She's like cutting people with like pizza cutters and stuff, and like picking their blood up off the floor and putting it on her own face. And she's this little like idol Japanese like character, but she comes and
triggered this one story that I forgot about AEW. But what was that? What was that promotion that was it Domino's or Pizza Hut? And then immediately like in that it was an AEW sponsorship, and they were using pizza cutters, right?
Yeah, it was the death match between Jericho and Nick Gage.
And that's what it was.
And Nick Gage cut Jericho with the pizza cutter, and then right after that, they cut to a Domino's commercial.
Nice. The marinara sauce, buddy. I'm curious how many pizzas they sold after that match. And that was like the whole controversy. I know like people were up in arms, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Domino's was pissed.
They were pissed? And you never saw a Domino's commercial again.
Nope. Little Caesars.
Right.
Yeah, now it's Little Caesars or Papa John's.
Papa John's specifically.
Oh man,
there was one spot that really stuck out was the when they put whoever put Julia Hart in that like in between like the chair, and she like slammed her ass, and she like it just still was like upright when she put her down on the chair. That was interesting.
Statlander.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But that was a good match, really good match. Honestly, yes. Me watching a Dynamite and Rampage and these past 2 weeks I've been watching, it's maintained my level of interest. So I think that's good for AEW. And their ratings have been steady And the Edge match, basically the entirety of Dynamite had a steady rating with Edge. Main event with the main event with Edge and Christian. It did drop off with Rampage because I think a lot of people think that 3 hours of wrestling is still too much because they did that back to back with Rampage. I think there was like 250,000 people like just kind of dropped off after Dynamite. But honestly, I think it just it has to keep snowballing and going up. And I think there's this energy that feels like it's going to. I don't think it'll ever reach the heights of WWE, but I think it'll be a really good second choice alternative, but also like a more resounding alternative. Like right now, it was a little bit wishy-washy in terms of just attendance and stuff. So I think it'll be steady attendance, a good alternative. And honestly, I just wish the best for them because an alternative for wrestling, for wrestlers, for fans is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
But let's finish